Technicolor disco ball living, why wouldn't you at least see if that floated your boat? And then you could have options on how you want it to be. But I think that our purpose and passion in life is to be in the purpose and in the passion, as opposed to looking for it to find you or to be the answer for your feeling of lack or whatever that might be. You are it already. It is you already. If you claim it, then you can name it, and then you can be it.
Hi, my name is Laura Peña, and I am the founder of She is the Universe. My purpose in life is to support the next generation of leaders, teenage girls, and I am going about this as if the future of this world depends on these girls, because it does. I had the pleasure of interviewing Amikaeyla Gaston, and I want to introduce you to her. Amikaeyla is an award-winning singer, cultural ambassador, and peace advocate, celebrated for her powerful blend of music, healing work, and social activism. After a life-changing experience where she almost died, she faced years of surgeries, physical therapy, and hospital stays to heal her third-degree burns. No drugs could help her pain, so she turned to music, the only thing that reminded her of peace. She founded the International Cultural Arts and Healing Science Institute, a collaborative space for artists and healers worldwide. Amikaeyla has traveled the world, bringing people together through music and dialogue to bring about deep healing and understanding.
Well, my name is Amikaeyla, and I feel that my purpose really does involve a lot of music as medicine. It really feels like it weaves in so many of my parts. It weaves in things that are seen and unseen, spoken and unspoken, in a way that kind of harmonizes the oneness of all of us through more than words and the cerebral aspect of that, really about how you connect heart to heart through sound, through intentionality. And I think I came to that purpose when, I was a kid. I've always loved to sing. I've always loved to be a part of group activities. I was very extroverted as a child. But really and truly, it was about being in community and feeling that joy, like when everyone's singing and clapping together, either you know the same song or you're in church. It feels really good to have that part of the mission. And growing up when I did, it was either you were a rock star or you were singing in the choir. That was the choice, right? So now it feels like the world has opened up in a way that they're really starting to understand how sound really does have healing properties that are trackable with data. You can see it scientifically, you can feel it. And so I feel like my life's purpose, especially after what happened to me, being in a car accident and being in the hospital for so long, and really having music as the only way that I was able to get through the pain. It just felt like, yeah, this is much more holistic and fully me than just going to medical school, continuing on that doctor track, or going this way and just doing one thing. It feels much more holistic for me. So I survived a hate crime. I was run over with a truck by 5 young men who, you know the story, honey. Racism, yay, but not yay. Like, it really is something that is still so pervasive in our community. And so when I was just sitting in a field of flowers, these guys ran me over. And I was waiting to get into a music festival. And when I was in the hospital, I got dragged 86 feet on a gravel dirt road. I suffered a hemothorax, pneumothorax, my ribs punctured my lungs, all the blood drained out, all the things, right? And so my injuries were so extensive. Every day they would come in and go, well, you might not live today, but if you do, we're gonna have to chop your legs off from the hips down. And I could only move these two fingers, and I would write, not today, maybe tomorrow, not today. And the only thing that would quell that fear, that anxiousness, outside of the very strong will to live, was music. And it wasn't like rock and roll music. It was really about, there was one sound healer named Brother Ah, and he would just pour water from one glass to another and chant, and very intentional prayer music, and lots of harmonies and sounds that were natural and ways that were touching my core and really penetrating on a cellular level. And it was what I locked into, that I could focus all my attention on, focus all my energy on, so that I could heal from within while the doctors tried to heal, externally. And I knew that it had such a miraculous effect, because every day the doctors would come in and be like, we can't believe how much your bone has grown back. We can't believe that your blood work is coming back with all of this amazing actual data. And they were talking to me because I was in medical school at the time. So I would demand to see my lab work. I would demand to see my x-rays. I would ask for all these things so that I could additionally help them, like, oh, this is low, let me focus on this. And when I was focusing and meditating, it was this music that I would focus in on, and it would really, really create this sound path for me to kind of bathe in and stay in, so that I could reach a level of ease and distress while all of this stress was happening in my body. And so when I came out of that, yes, but it took a long time, darling, let me tell you. After I got out of that, I knew that, okay, that is 100% what I'm doing. And I actually went back to medical school, and the doctors would always say, well, you can only spend 6 to 9 minutes with your patients. And I would raise my hand and be like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. As a patient, I'm going to tell you, this is what I needed from someone who needed extreme amounts of healing. What was being offered inside of the hospital was not enough. It was not cumulative enough. And even outside of being like body, mind, spirit, integration, it was really like, there is another level of healing that you all are not seeing, that you're missing out on. There should be music pumping through everything, everywhere. People should be able to pick how they want to de-stress with sound in these places where healing is most needed all the time. It should be readily accessible, and it should be tailor-made to what your needs are, what your body needs to hear. And I used to study like Joseph Campbell's, the Mozart effect, and so there was a lot of starting data talking about like how classical music would calm down babies, and the genius baby and the brilliant baby they would always say play classical music for them. But again, that's a very Eurocentric perspective, and so I wanted to study music from around the world and see how it affected the science of the body as well as the spirit of the body. And so I started studying sacred ethnomusicology. I was like, I need to hear the chants from Tibet. I need to go and I need to check out the drums from Cuba and Africa. And I need to get with the real, like, amazing gift that we have on this planet called music, that we're just kind of dipping into because it's in the background on the radio. I was like, oh, there's so much more. So I started going around, and then on my journey, I got an email from the Dalai Lama. Which sounds so crazy when you say it like that, right? It's bananas, right? And when I got it on my email, it was kind of like, I got $6 million in the bank for you, baby. And I was really like, what? So I read it again, and it was like, you've been chosen out of 6, the world, to join you and 5 other people to sing for the Dalai Lama. And they were erecting this beautiful 75-foot golden Buddha statue in Varanasi, in New Delhi, and they wanted me to come, and I was like, sure. That's literally all I type back, S-U-R-E, like, this is what? So anyway, about a week later, got this big package with all this handwriting, and it smelled like incense, and I ran home. I was like, Mommy, you have to open this, because I don't know what this is. Anyway, we open it up, and it's from the head Rinpoche from the Dalai Lama, his head priest. And it had all the information about this sacred music healing festival. And I was like, I'm 100% going to this. So I went and I got to sing for the Dalai Lama. I accidentally called him Daddy. That's a whole other story. But anyway, the bottom line is that even he was like, this is your calling. You are called to really bring the recognition of the sacredness and the invisibility of music and how it needs to be even more baked in and not just wait. You don't wait to listen to music when you're, in a certain space or at a certain place, or it's always, pumped in as music through stores. Like, music is always everywhere. And so starting to do what everyone does, like listen to the birds and listen to and I used to do that as a kid too. The music of the water in the creek behind my house, and I would sing with the birds, and I really was like Cinderella, like I really wanted to like do that whole talk to animals thing. And so I just felt like this is 100% it. And then when the Dalai Lama is like, go, be free, do that. Yes. And so I formed the International Cultural Arts and Healing Sciences Institute and really tried to put programming together. So I do this thing called Music as Medicine programming, and we use it with, UNHCR, the United Nations High Commission on Refugees, and with the American Psychological Association, and with the Department of Health and Human Services, and the Foreign Services Institute to go around. So I go around as a cultural arts ambassador to all these different places around the world, bringing people together with music and really working with people who are frozen in this chrysalis of pain and trauma from war, so like refugees and at-risk children, youth, and families who are just so immobilized in pain and fear and shock. The way to get to them isn't to just be like, let me talk to you, can you fill out this form? Like it's very much so about, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, I need you to come back. And so the way back we do through song. And so I'll sing to them and they'll start crying, and then we can process the grief and pain and get to a place of starting to heal. And so I do feel like it's, they always say the phrase, music soothes the savage beast. I think it really does. It's the balm that heals the soul and the soul of the world, quite honestly. I do remember being in the back of our house. There's this beautiful, like our houses were surrounded in it was like a nature preserve, like an enclaves. And so the houses would surround this forest, and each little neighborhood preserve would surround this forest. And in our area was a creek, and we used to go from like preserve to preserve and just walk around in nature all day. This was back in the day, honey, when your parents were out and you were home and you were a latchkey kid and you just got to do whatever you wanted to do until the streetlights came on. But I remember being a kid, and I remember sitting on this rock and being in nature and singing to the frogs and the birds and the trees and all that sort of stuff. And then I started noticing that the birds would respond when I sang. So I would sing, and the birds were quiet, and then I would be quiet, and then they'd sing back. And we started doing this concert. And, even in my little kid mind, I was like, this isn't real. Am I making this up? Am I putting this together in a way that isn't real? So after that, I started, singing with the birds every day. Like, I'd go outside, and I would they were quiet, and then I would sing, and then I'd get quiet, and then they would sing, and it was really this patterning. And whether it was true or not, it struck in me a curiosity around what's happening. There's a way that we can communicate without words. There's a way that you can have a heart connection through this interplay of sound that doesn't necessarily require a certain level of cerebral intake. You can have it be a very much so an auric field connecting, a soul connecting, a thing that was allowing us to be in harmony with one another through things that weren't tangible like words, through just sonic resonance, through wanting, a yearning, a curiosity, an imaginative way of radically being with nature. And I remember that as a child, and it never left me. And so anytime I would do things, I was in a lot of like little musical productions and Broadway stuff, and anytime I was on stage and I was with a bunch of people, we were all singing together, I was feeling it so deeply. It was more than just the number we were doing. It was really like we together are doing a healing effect to the audience. The audience is playing with us. We're able to be in a coherence, really and truly, a way that we can be a fully community that doesn't allow our disparate parts to keep us divided, right? So it didn't matter what we looked like, even if I was the character of Really Rosie or whatever it was. There was an investment in me as a person, even if it was in me as a character. And I think that's why a lot of our society still loves to be entertained. You know, you see it in the movies. You want to watch someone's arc of their story or their hero's journey or whatever it is. There's a way that we tap in when we are in community, even if we aren't in dialogue. And so music really does provide that energy. Also, I mean, if you think about every movie you ever see, it takes two notes, dun, dun, and you know, watch out, you know. Music is also like emotional barometer, like, what's happening around me? Should I be cool? Is the music okay? If the music is okay and what's happening around me isn't okay, there's dissonance and I need to roll, baby. You know, but there's a way that, you know, that thrills me. That's much more, you know, full mind, body, spirit experience than just like book. So what's your problem, right? So tell me again, you know, so many people are so disconnected from language and expression and ways to tell people how they're really feeling, whether it's that they can't or don't want to or don't have access to that kind of way of describing who they be. You can do it through sound, and it doesn't require, you know, the ba 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 of it. You know, crosses languages. I don't know, honey. I'm not trying to, you know, be like, go out and do music, but for real, like it feels like that's such a divine gift that's just so right there at our fingertips. That doesn't require you to be a Taylor Swift or a Beyonce so that you have, you know, people can hear the messaging. It's everywhere for everyone to do all the time. How groovy is that, man? Ultimate. I think more people haven't found their purpose, or maybe they have found it and they just don't know it yet. I think your purpose is your passion. It's in your life. You're doing it already. You just don't know that that's that. You know, there's a way that you know, when I was growing up, they were like, you can be a butcher, baker, candlestick maker. You know, you can be a doctor, lawyer, or a businessman. There's so many prescribed notions of what constitutes one's life purpose. So we get lost if the track that we think that we're on isn't fulfilling this other large part of our being. So we're like, oh, it wasn't that, so let me try that. Oh, it wasn't that. There's only so much time you have in your life to kind of travel down these different roads until you're like, I'm home. And I think what's happening now, it's very intriguing in our collective consciousness. Everyone's realizing I only have so much time to live my fullest life. Be it purpose, be it passion, be it both. Let's get to it. And so I think that when you realize that you need to accelerate your exploration of things that bring you joy, pleasure, pride, there's a quick deep dive. But you might not know that it's your purpose because it doesn't fit these, you know, boxes that we've been told continuously by society. That, you know, the first thing anybody asks you is, what's your name and what do you do? You know, if you're doing something that doesn't express your life's purpose, you know, there you are. Like, you know, my partner used to be a lawyer, now he's like, absolutely not, because there's no justice in the law. But is that a loss of purpose? No, or is it a finding of purpose, like a rehoning, a reshifting, a redefining of what you are here in your organic incarnation to complete. I don't want to say do because it sounds like a project or process. It's how I choose to view it, like how you be in your space. And if you are fully aligned in how you be in your space, you are fulfilling your life's purpose. Every day in every way. And it could change minute to minute, moment to moment. You are your life's purpose. You are your life's mission. The fulfillment of the fullness of you. That's it. I think the biggest challenge for me living into my purpose is there's just not enough time, man. Like, I really wish I could have the luxury of explaining the essence of these new philosophies. Like when you're, on the precipice, they talked about, the solitude of genius. Not at all to say I'm a genius, but to be in a new way of thinking about things. There aren't many playmates in certain areas when you're doing that. And so my wanting is to have a kind of a playground of playmates that we can kind of talk about our life's mission and purpose in a way that doesn't require job titles and those kind of elements of being. And so I think the biggest challenge is having it expressed in a way that people understand when it doesn't have this antiquated thought pattern of like, are you this, are you that, are you this, are you that? But more about like, how are you being in this lifetime? That's a lot to ask for just random conversation when you're out in the regular world with the muggles. They don't know how to answer that. They don't know how to be with that. And so that's a challenge. So to feel kind of alone or like this, patchwork unicorn, paisley elephant, whatever it is that makes you feel different because your life's purpose doesn't fit in something that already exists with a label on it, is challenging. When you're in community and people hold you in all of your parts, then you have the space and the wherewithal to journey inward to access more of your life's mission and purpose and weave it into your daily living and share it with the community and have it be activated. And you aren't sitting alone in your apartment on a computer searching for a way to feel in connection and in community. And that really is the ultimate life purpose, bringing your full self into communal spaces and having the joint resonance around that. Like, yes, we were looking for that ingredient. Oh, you're the curry. Yes, honey, come over here. You're the pepper, you're the cayenne, and we make this masala of beingness. That's the groovy deliciousness of life. That's the point of a purpose, I think, is to add to the roux of life for everyone so we all can get nourished and fed and held and all the things are together and it's a beautiful thing. And that doesn't allow for a hierarchical structure of beingness. Like there isn't the one who's doing the this and that. It's all of us, baby. There might be a point to the pyramid, but there are also 2 other points at the base and it just rotates. Like we all have a moment to, have the microphone, what you got to say, what you got to say. Then we can have the full story of our life, human experience, not just one voice. Dominating the space, baby. Let's pass it around. Let's share. The advice I would give people who think that they haven't found their purpose, passion, and meaning in life is that you probably have, and you just don't know it. Like, what turns you on? What excites you? What invites you? What makes you all like, whoa, that's it? If it's that, if that's the vibe and that's the feeling and you feel tuned in and turned on, man, that's your purpose in life. Somewhere in that vibration is calling you. There's a quickening that happens when you're in, energy that makes you go zzz. Follow that stream. No matter where it goes, like get with that program, find out like the core essence of what it is. Like it's an exploratory path. I might think today that my mission is music is medicine, and tomorrow I'll be like, actually, Bitcoin. No, just kidding. It won't be Bitcoin, but like it could be something else completely. And let that be the real. Like have the excitement for the continual growth of self to be your mission and your purpose. always be looking for the next that really like lights your fire, because then when you can get with that, then you can share more of your own light within that space, and it's just growing in brilliance. And it's not one thing. It can be many one things. The kaleidoscope of life is so much prettier than just the clear window pane. Do stained glass living, baby. Stained glass living, that's the name. Yeah, let's do that. I think the effect that it has when other people see you living your truest, most alivened self and purpose, it inspires them to look at their own life and go, am I doing everything that I can to be, so many times I hear people say, why, you're glowing, what's your deal, what are you doing? What lotion do you use? And I'm like, it's not the lotion or the water I drink, it's the, that accident, I literally died and came back. And when I died and realized that this is not a dress rehearsal, that this is a choice to live your fullest life, why would you act like it isn't the final hurrah? This is in this incarnation, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, but right now, this is the is of your life. Is it what you want it to be? If it isn't, what's the desire? What's the wanting? What is your rocket of desire? What is your plan of being the most ecstatic you that you can be? And I think that other people, when they see that in someone, and it's not in like a paycheck or high amounts of money or, a job that allows them to blah, 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 blah. It's just in their beingness. It's like, whoa, it's very, and I think that, when you get out of the shoulds that have been doled out to you from school, from parents, from whatever, you should be a this and you should be a that, you should be making this and you should look like that. When you get beyond, and you are in your being beyond self, that is the most peaceful, joyful, beautiful moment. And it's not a constant. You have to kind of adjust every time. And you feel a little like, I should maybe blah, blah, blah. Like we all are kind of, racked and packed with the shoulds. When you take it away, shouldn't be a word. That's hilarious. But it's one of those things that's very real. Like, why are we prescribing ourselves to such a constrained perspective of self and experience and life? I know so many people that haven't left their neighborhood. Why? It's more than I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't know where to go. It's a deep fear that maybe the something that's out there is too daunting or big. And so a lot of people just kind of slip into the streamline of what is easy to do, how it's easy to be, clothes that are easy to buy, things that are easy, And that level of ease that you think is like making life groovy and peaceful is actually maybe a cage, potentially. Like if you look at, if we're going to use Wizard of Oz, if Dorothy didn't open that door, honey, she would not know Technicolor was an actuality. And everyone's like, oh, she was just dreaming, whatever it was. That shift from, black and white, Pantone, just very simple to Technicolor, disco ball living. Why wouldn't you at least see if that floated your boat? And then you could have options on how you want it to be. But I think that our purpose and passion in life is to be in the purpose and in the passion, as opposed to looking for it to find you or to be the answer for your feeling of lack or whatever that might be. You are it already. It is you already. If you claim it, then you can name it, and then you can be it. I think the world would be really beautiful if everyone, or at least the majority, were living their purpose, because I think there would be a level of joy just inherently baked in the everydayness of life that wouldn't require, additives like drugs or, anything that's extra that can turn into a vice, is because there's a desire for a fulfillment that maybe you aren't feeling right now. But if you are in alignment with your purpose and being and living it, then you're full. You're full of joy and full of passion and full of life. And then you might not feel the need to, fill it with other things that will cover and quell the anxiety, the fear, the lack, the loneliness. Live, go be, and have it fill you and excite you and thrill you. And, there's joy and there's all kinds of emotions, and experience all of them. So many people are like, you're just naturally happy. And not always. And you can be too. And wouldn't it be fun to just enjoy the smorgasbord of life? Taste everything. Try everything. Be everything. Why not? Got that, kids?